Hi, David Politis here, editor, publisher, and founder of Utah Money Watch. This week we're trying something new, doing a quick week in review of the 5 most important money news stories from last week, plus 9 additional news nuggets you might have missed. So let's start off. Clene Pharmaceuticals announced last week that it has raised $40 million in a direct public offering. Clene is a company focusing on fighting various neurodegenerative diseases. Very interesting company. That was our first story last week. In addition, we announced that Overstock has almost purchased the certain assets of Bed Bath & Beyond for $21.5 million out of bankruptcy court. Very, very interesting company. There is more coming on that story. In addition, Ovation. Ovation's a Utah County-based company which raised $4 million in a Series A round of funding. What had not been reported previously is why they were able to raise the $4 million and how they're helping restaurants all over the country. Qualtrics last week went private. They were taken private by 2 major investors in a deal that eventually valued Qualtrics at $4.3 billion. And then RevRoad, a interesting venture services company headquartered out of Provo, Utah, announced last week that they had raised $15 million to help them continue to grow here in Utah, but also now in Orlando, Florida. In addition, we also uncovered 9 additional news nuggets, things that we think you'll be interested in, specifically 5 different organizations in Utah made announcements about C-level changes. Those companies or organizations were the BYU Law School with a new dean, Energy Solutions, INW out of Farmington, Utah, Lumio, and the World Trade Center, Utah. In addition, one of the other news nuggets that we are reporting on today is a BYU student startup called Zamo. They have just landed $875,000 in investments based upon placing 3rd in the Rice University Annual Business Plan Competition. The Rice Business Plan Competition has become the #1 business comp program in the country, and props to these 3 students at BYU for landing $875,000 in new investments out of that competition. In addition, Recursion Pharmaceuticals out of Salt Lake City announced last week that they have opened their first, they have opened a Canadian headquarters in Toronto. And Owlet out of Lehigh announced last week that they are doing a reverse stock split. For every 14 shares that individuals hold today, they will receive 1 share in return. This will take place on the 10th of July. For all shareholders of records, and gets Owlet back in compliance with the rules of the stock market that they're currently on. And then last of all, pretty interesting news on the crime beat, something involving $10 million in fraudulent activities by a former U.S. Olympic speed skater. Taylorsville resident Allison Baver, who won the bronze medal in 2010, was convicted on 4 different felony charges. Those charges involve money laundering, false statements to a financial institution, and contempt of court. The money laundering conviction alone carries a sentence of up to 30 years in prison, plus up to $1 million fine. Sentencing is going to take place on October 30th. So, in review, that's our week look back for June 25 through July 1st, and 9 additional news nuggets. I'm David Politis, Utah Money Watch. We'll catch you next time.